This episode of This Agile Life has been brought to you by BrilliantAgile.com, providing Agile and Scrum training, consultancy, and personnel.
BrilliantAgile.com. Done right, it's brilliant.
This Agile Life, episode 95, direct from Agile 2015 in Washington, D.C.
That's a Wiener!
The software industry transforms more and more every day. Agile methods are quickly replacing traditional ones. The question is, are you agile enough? This podcast is devoted to agile and lean software development. Time to welcome your agile coaches on This Agile Life.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to This Agile Life, a podcast about what it's like to be agile in the real world. We are coming to you direct from Agile 2015 and Agile in Washington, D.C. And we are excited because we have a bunch of winners here tonight. So is there a winner at the table?
I'm a winner.
So who is this winner here?
I'm Dan Parker with Worldwide Technology.
And so, Dan, what did you just win?
I was told I won a book by David Anderson called Swift Kanban.
Swift Kanban, yes, by David Anderson. So, and is there another winner at the table?
There
Jason
is.
Tice.
Yes, what did Jason Tice win at the Agile
TV!
Conference? Jason Tice won a TV at the Agile Conference this year about 15 minutes ago. And so what is Jason Tice going to do with his TV?
He's going to give it to his advocate.
Yes, so today I want to share is, obviously this is This Agile Life. My name is Jason Tice. We got some guests here tonight, Dan Parker, Melanie Hopwood, and Charles, oh boy, Elsner has just joined us in the conference hallway here to talk about things. But it's been a great day for me here at the Agile Conference because, Melanie, I want to say thank you. Because for those that have...
and I want to say thank you.
Well, so what Melanie did today, she gave her first presentation ever at a conference.
Woo-hoo!
And at the company that Melanie and I work for, we have what we call an advocate program. And so this is where...
advocacy.
This is where employees partner up and basically they support each other to improve. And so last year, Melanie came to me and she asked if I would be her advocate. And one of the things...
It was first come, first served.
Yes, it was first come, first served. So so she came early, I guess, because I had a few other requests. But I said, first person, what the heck? And I said, sure, Melanie, I'll do it. And she told me one of her goals was to go to an Agile conference. And I said, well, let's have fun with that. Let's not just go to the Agile conference. Let's have you present at the Agile conference. And so today you gave your presentation.
I did.
And so what did you talk about?
I talked about testing of a large legacy code base.
Yes.
Yeah, I talked about, I don't know.
And so you did a great job because there's a few people poked fun at. Yes, I did win a TV tonight. Phil Brock gave me a TV. So, and to be honest, do you need a TV?
Actually, yeah, I need to.
Okay, so fine. You have the TV. So we're going to figure out how to get the TV to you. So, so we have two winners tonight from the giveaway. So, but anyways, what we're going to do tonight is
We're all winners.
We're all winners, yes, because we're all learning things here at the conference. So, but we'll keep our format going. Let's just talk about some sessions, what we did today. Who knows, random people might show up. And yeah, so who wants to get started here?
I'd love to talk about Melanie's presentation.
And so this is Dan Parker, introduced himself, and he's going to talk, because you came to Melanie's session, right?
I
Okay,
did.
so tell us about it.
Well, I came first as support for my fellow colleagues, but it was great to hear the focus on the automation piece of the testing, and that the investment was understood by the team and the client, that we're going to commit to testing through automation, and if that means setting up multiple nodes to run multiple tests and whatever that takes to have that as part of the project. And something that was as cool as the mobile field kit is, and then for it being sort of government based, but then to see the focus on automation testing, that's great to see, because you think government, public sector, we're never going to automate, you think of more of the modern age developers doing that. But
well, I think what we should do real quick though. So Melanie, can you give us like an elevator pitch on exactly, because Dan mentioned the name of the product. It's called the Mobile Field Kit. What does it do? Like, what do you use it for?
So the mobile field kit is used in the defeat weapons of mass destruction. So it's basically used by different government agencies such as the civil support teams, Secret Service, the nuclear disablement teams. So it's all pretty much military.
Well, and for our listeners who may not know, tell us about the events it's used for. Because I think our users would understand that.
Well, it's been used for a variety of events. So initially it was used for the Joint Explosive Ordnance Disposal. So there were a lot of IEDs in Iraq, I guess, that were left over. So originally it was used for that. But it's grown, and now it's actually, so the latest time it was used was in the Special Olympics that were held in Los Angeles last week. And so basically we had civil support teams from all over the United States that were there and ready to go out if needed in case they found some weapons of mass destruction.
Awesome. And again, that's where I think the thing I know we talked about is it is mission critical software because they use it to basically detect nuclear bombs, basically.
It's chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear.
Yeah. So it's definitely mission critical software. So can you since Dan brought it up, can you give us the 3 themes you talked about in your report?
So it was a lot around automation, and not only just automation of your stories as they're coming across the Kanban board, but it was also automation of things that are a little bit more difficult. We created a sensor simulator that allows us to create test data via XML that they parse and then it displays in the MFK. And also even automating one of our stress tests, and this automation test runs until basically the MFK fails.
And you are so good because we didn't have time to talk about that in your session. So
we didn't.
But because what you did is you automated all of basically different elements of the test pyramid: unit testing, functional testing, and then even stress testing, which was awesome.
Yeah. It was. It's funny because the team saw us being our quality advocates struggling to get the tests together just to execute for a stress test, and by automating it, every time a piece of code is merged into our master, it executes that automated test, and so that's really nice.
So automated testing was one theme. So what was the next?
The other one was engagement.
Engagement, yes. I love it. I love it.
Not only engagement of the team, but engagement with our users. So basically we go out and we try to use the software just like our users would at least once a week. And this actually is it actually kind of brings the team closer together as we're thinking about, how is the user using the application and what should we test, this week. And we take the system out onto the street and look at it just like our users are looking at it.
Yeah, that was interesting to see the pictures on the slides of the team actually rolling Pelican cases out and going to Forest Park and truly what was the bullet point? Simulation is key, or simulation.
Yeah, simulation is key, and the key thing for our listeners that may not know. So what this team does is they literally pack up the software. They literally go out and they simulate a real exercise. So how the software is used to truly detect a weapon. And so they go to a public park in St. Louis, Missouri. They set up a network, and they actually use the software as it's used in real life.
And we have been asked by curious pedestrians as well, hey, what are you doing? And we've also been asked, because the other thing that's kind of funny is the asynchrony office is actually close to the federal courthouse. And so on occasion, we will go out and we just happen to be by the federal courthouse, and we will have the police come out and say, hey, why do you got that backpack on you? And what are you doing? And we kind of have to explain ourselves.
I've always wondered about that, because I've always said, if you guys go out I think you're going to tell a story in a minute about how you've made this process more sustainable. But, you go out to a park with all this stuff, all this computer gear. I would think people might see this and be like, what is going on over there?
Well, definitely people are curious.
Sure.
And usually, actually, when we have our community of interest meetings and we have everybody come in, they're in their, I forget what the word is, but they're in their casual attire. So they're not in their uniform. They will notify, the emergency management team at the fire department or whatever that says, hey, we're out today, we're testing, you're going to see some people walking around with some gear, and don't be nervous about it.
Yeah. Well, the thing that I thought was so fascinating, and I know a few people asked questions about this at your presentation, was something we talk about in Agile is really ensuring that a team has good focus. And again, what I thought was amazing about your paper and the presentation was, again, you take the team, you send them out to the park, they use the software really as it's used in real life. I cannot think of a better example of how a team can have real focus about a mission critical system because they've lived it.
Yeah, they have to get away from the computer and away from coding and hey, put on your customer hat and let's see how it looks when you use it as a customer.
So we talked about test automation. We talked about really this field test. Was there anything else you touched on in your paper?
So the other thing we kind of talked about was just kind of building a relationship with your users. Our users are very busy, especially since 9/11. They're out, supporting missions quite frequently. And so it's really hard to get feedback from our users. So basically, we did some things that enabled us to become better partners with them. And then we also obtained a sort of a champion of the mobile field kit. And so they agreed to, that's my dad calling.
Oh, no, phone calls.
They agreed to coming out like once a year. So all the civil support teams come to St. Louis, Missouri, and we get together and we talk about the application.
Well, I think one of the key things you did mention in the paper, which I just think it was so awesome, was people ask, what if you're in product management, what is the value that like a customer focus group can provide? And I know one thing that's in your paper is it did talk about how the customers came together and as they shared different stories about how they were using the product.
Yeah, they learned from each other.
Yeah, and at that point, guess what? If you're a customer, you get additional value from that product without the need to write any other software. So again, you did an awesome job. So I want to, look, I'm clapping.
Thank you, Jason.
I think this is like the first time we've ever had applause on This Agile Life. So, okay, so Melanie did a great job. And again, the experience report is online. You can download the paper in the presentation from the Agile Alliance website. So we will put that in the show notes. So, okay, so enough about that. Something else. It was a whole day here. What else did we talk about today? We have a new person has joined us. Who is this new person?
Charlie Elsner. I'd be happy to volunteer a couple items here. Today was a great day for testing. In fact, if you were to look at the agenda, wow, it wasn't saturated, but definitely a lot of interest there. You had Elizabeth Hendrickson. I didn't get a chance to sit on, but she was recognized as a stalwart, and I think she's known quite a bit as a tester. I don't know if you guys know her or not. I did actually get to sit in on the Janet Gregory and Lisa Crispin session. Yeah. So I got to
went
listen on
to
that.
their session yesterday, but I'd love to hear what they were talking about.
Well,
today.
I mean, generally speaking, they're just covering the major parts of the book. It was really looking at testing enterprise-wide and just really hearkening to the importance of testing, integrated testing, automated testing, and really that's kind of in the journey that we are in our Agile journey, if you will.
And Charles, I'm curious. So this is a person who's a listener who has joined us because we tweeted it out, and just came up to join us in the deserted open gym area. Since it's after the party, it's 9:00 at night. But what's your role? Like, what do you do? Like, just to set context for our listeners.
So I'm a process owner. I mean, are we allowed to mention company names, or is that just irrelevant?
If you want, as long as that's okay with your company's policy. So we'll leave it at that.
I'll leave that out then.
Okay, then fine. That's fine.
But we've been on our journey for about a year and a half now, and so
And you are internal to the company.
I am.
That's good. Well, because that makes a difference. Because if you're a coach and you're external, there's a different viewpoint than if you're internal. So tell us more.
So about today or just in general?
Well, just about like what you learned. I was just curious for listeners that may wonder who they're listening to talking. So.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing that I found interesting, and it wasn't from today's session. It was, Mike Kottmeyer. Have you guys heard of Mike Kottmeyer?
No.
In his session? So interestingly, so when it comes to scaling and the gravitational pull of how are we? Do you have to subscribe to a particular method, whether it be safe or DAD or less or whatnot? And so Mike actually Kottmeyer introduced a concept of it has quadrants, and it allows senior leadership to basically understand where they are in these quadrants, and then allow a stepping stone or progression path. And that seems to be different, and it had appealed to me because a lot of methods you have to just take the red pill or sink or swim, flying leap, and you've got to get all in or you're not in at all. And this was very appealing to me because it allowed us a stepping stone on-ramp, if you will, to where you want to be. It doesn't presume that you need to be all in or all out, but allowed a gradiated approach to an on-ramp for that.
Are you considering scaling?
Our concern is not so much for scaling, and we don't really have this large backlog that everyone needs to align to. We would prefer to build rather, or we depends what you ask. We prefer to buy and then integrate. We do have to build a little bit, but I think our bigger need is on just managing release planning. Let's not set an annual budget. Let's budget maybe quarterly basis.
Yes.
Allow us to true up.
Thank you. Yes.
Does that mean I need to be safe? Well, not necessarily.
yeah.
I can do release planning quarterly, and if that makes me safe or that makes me less, I don't really know.
Well,
It makes me better, I'll tell you that.
what I love you're talking about, Charles, is you're talking about one of the. This is a theme it's come up all the time that kind of my background where what are the key things that are impediments to adopting Agile? Things like human resources and/or accounting and budgeting.
Yes.
And really, for the community to move forward, we need to do something to address those problems. So I appreciate that you're saying you're adjusting your budgetary cycle to be shorter.
Right.
Because it needs to be shorter because that drives accountability and it drives shorter cycles.
Yeah, and so I think companies are looking for big animal picture sort of processes that would allow us to easily migrate into something, and it gives a progressive sort of a way, as opposed to this very it's a heavy cost. It's a very disruptive method, and so for companies that are less risk or I guess risk averse, I should say, we need an easier way to go into that model. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Totally, yeah.
All right, so who's got another session? Anyone else?
You gonna talk about Esther?
I would love to talk about.
Did you guys go to Esther together?
Not together, but we happened to both be there.
We happen to both be there. Yeah.
Okay, so what did Esther share?
So it was Coaching Flow with Esther Derby and
Mike Fowler.
Lowry. My first introduction. So I've read Esther before, but at this conference, I just want to say that it's been she's been an amazing presence, and I've become more of a fan. But she talked about coaching flow, and it may be ambiguous, but what I took away from it is she talked about influence mapping and where analyzing your influence within your realm and mapping that out between the center of that influence, whether it be a team or a product, and then mapping to it all those other people that are part of the influence stream, maybe to that.
And she told us that she asked us to give traits.
Yes.
To give traits to all those people, which is something I thought that was really interesting.
And to also evaluate the level of the influence between the nodes on your map. Is it a strong influence? Is it a weak influence? Is it a and then she went into talking about power.
Yeah.
And how the different levels of power affect those people in that node, whether it's legitimate power, whether it's coercive power. And personally, so far this conference, that's been the best tool I think that I'm going to be taking back is influence mapping, because I've always struggled with, where do I put my energy? Where is my energy valuable in coaching? And do I really need to spread myself all throughout, or is there areas where I have influence?
Well, all right. So the other thing too, though, I think that kind of goes along with that is, so she kind of talked about how you perceive this person, I'll say. And so you might say that they're coercive, and then she tells you to try to think of another word that's a little bit more neutral. And I don't remember exactly the example that she gave, but I thought that was kind of interesting, because it kind of puts the person in a little bit different perspective and maybe gives you a little bit better relationship.
Right.
What did you guys think of the keynote today? Jesse, did you?
She was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun.
Collaboration, improvisation.
I think that just knowing my boss and who I'm working for now, and the energy that she has, and also the energy from Jason and Asynchrony, I can see improv playing a big role in what we're doing over the next few months.
And so real life, if you were not at the conference, but if you have listened to prior episodes of This Agile Life, so she has a book out called Control Shift, and it's like 50 games for 50 freaking days like today, although she didn't use the word freaking. Yeah, so, well, you guys know I got kids.
Right.
So, but what's funny is, at the Agile Games Conference, when John and Amos and myself were there, we talked to Wade Stallman, who is from St. Louis. And so he has a very similar concept out where he's got 50 improv games for teams. Now, I did look at her book, and I did look at Wade's games, this guy Wade Stallman. They're a little different. So I would definitely say, if you were at Agile 2015 and you went to Jesse's talk and you liked it, I will make sure we put a plug for Wade Stallman's stuff. He's got a website. It's called teamfirstdevelopment.com. And we've plugged it in the past at our Agile Games episode, but this idea of improv and just having fun at work is awesome. And I know, like, the company that Melanie and I work for, like, Wade came over and did the workshop with us before the Agile Games Conference. It was a hoot. Mm-hmm. So, and what was unique about his workshop is based upon working in small teams. And whereas Jesse's exercises, we worked kind of like one-on-one today. Like, I know I worked with Melanie and she had fun stuff. And I know one of the things I got was it was like Bob without a vision, which I got a good laugh out of. Bob has no vision. So that's an interesting statement. So that was a metaphor, I think. It was very meta.
And yet again, seeing people come to Agile from so many different walks of life. Mm-hmm. I'm just so impressed to see, here's someone who was, said she dressed up as an orange at a Walmart, was a first grade teacher, and found herself to Agile. We see developers come in, we see product people come in, we see program people come in and developers. Yeah, it's just amazing.
So I will share. I'm going to do an experiment tomorrow because tomorrow I'm going to get up and go to Lean Coffee here at the conference. And so this podcast, this will have occurred by the time this podcast posts. So we'll talk about maybe tomorrow night. I'm going to try one of Wade Stallman's games at Lean Coffee because his games in particular are designed to be played in about 3 minutes or less. So you can play them during like your stand-up or actually during Lean Coffee. So we're going to try to do the ABC game and see how that goes.
So the yes and.
It's
like I could easily see that.
No, and then another one on the same vein was Agile Jesters, Magicians, and Clowns, and this was by Adam Weisbart.
Okay.
And I went to that one, and for folks that are really trying to keep their retrospectives engaging and alive, they can tend to be mundane and routine. I appreciated all of the different drills that he had us go through. They were quite entertaining, and it was a packed room, and everyone just really had a fun time.
Yeah, I think the three of us were in the Luke Holman stalwart session that was going on next to that.
It sure was. And we made quite a ruckus. He told us the noise level was.
Yes, you did.
He told us try and keep it down, but
So let's talk about Luke Holman. Who wants to say something about Luke Holman?
Well,
his kids like to go poop.
I'm a big fan of game theory and applying games to learning. It's how we grew up learning. We made games out of everything growing up. Whether it's cleaning your room or doing your homework, most of us would turn those into games. And hearing Luke's enthusiasm, going back to the keynote, even about what Agile can bring to private sectors, even it is inspiring. But him pulling no punches in his stalwarts, and by the way, every stalwart thing I've been to so far this week has been probably maybe the best. Just hearing these people talk, but no.
And if you're listening, just you're wondering what this is. This is a session where there is no presentation. Basically, you go into the room, and the expert or experts, because they've done a few where they've had two people.
Yes.
They're up on a stage, and basically you can go up and engage in a fishbowl style discussion with them. Yeah, I wish they had been recording these because like the stuff that Luke said was awesome. I mean, he was like gamification is potty training for adults. I mean, that was something I know I tweeted out, and he was on fire. So
he was. Someone fired him up earlier before we got there. And
really? Is that what we missed?
So I saw a tweet about the no estimate idiots or something like that. He was tweeting that out, or someone was tweeting that out. So that was
really well. It's because we got there late because Melanie gave her awesome experience report, and they were like, "Well, those are shorter." So we're like, "Well, what do you do? What do we do now?" So we went to Luke's session because I said I wanted to see what Luke had to say. And again, I just have to give my appreciation because Luke's been a personal advocate of mine, and I appreciate some guidance and insights he's given me about stuff. So Luke, thank you for everything. And of course, Melanie, you were the prototype of let's try to use a game for performance reviews. And Melanie, to your credit, you said, sure, let's try it and see what happens. And Luke's, I know Luke's promoted that, and a few organizations I know have tried that. So we had fun in Luke's session. And sometimes it's Luke got loud too. I felt like I was sitting there listening to myself talk sometimes.
Well, the catalyst for him saying gamification is potty training for adults was someone asking us, when do I engage? And that the fact that someone or teams or people have to be mature enough at some level before you start introducing these topics. Mm-hmm. You can't, that he said that, I can't teach my 6-month-old how to go to the bathroom. In so many words, but that you have to bring some people up to some kind of level before you can, kind of maybe dive into some of these deeper game explorations.
There was just too much going on in that same hour. Kenny Rubin was also giving a good speech. I couldn't go to that one.
Really?
Came from a dinner earlier, and the guy was like, I had 6 aha moments, and 5 of them were in that particular session with Kenny Rubin.
Wow. Well, I'll mention that. We'll go look that one up. Yeah. So, cool. Well, here I got one. I went to a Doc List session today, and Doc always does great things. So he did this thing called Moving Motivator. We could do this right here. It's a card game. So, and what it is, it's kind of evaluating which of these values is most important to you. So Dan, you want to play? Let's play. So Dan, we're going to do this round robin here. Or basically, I'm just going to give you a card deck. So status. That's where we're going to start. So it says status. What does it say?
My position is good, and I recognize and recognized by the people who work with me.
So the question is, which of these values is more important to you? So that's status. That's where we'll start. So the next one is power. So read the card and tell us if that's more important or less important than status for you as a person.
So power is, there's enough room for me to influence what happens around me. Power is more important.
So power. So what we're gonna do is we'll put power in that we're gonna put it above. We're gonna put it above status here. Okay. We'll move it closer to the center of our table here. So how about acceptance?
Acceptance is the people around me approve of what I do and who I am. I would say that's not as important.
Okay. How about honor? What's honor?
Honor is my personal values are reflected in the group, and this boosts my loyalty. Can I put this in between power and status?
Yep, that's exactly the pattern. So what we got here, for those that cannot see this because we're not doing video, so Dan has ranked most important to him out of what we've pulled thus far is power, then honor, then status, then acceptance. So he's got it stacked top to bottom. So let's do a few more. So here's order.
Order is there are enough rules and policies for a stable environment. I put that below acceptance.
So you don't like rules?
I do not like rules.
Dude,
He's a rebel.
He's a rebel. No. See, what's funny, I'll share in the workshop when I did this, I was like, dude, order for me. Yeah. No joke. Where do you think that was?
Really?
Probably pretty well, yeah, because I like process. You know me.
Yeah, I understand.
So anyways, we'll do a few more because that's this neat activity that Doc did. So here's related.
I see policies and constraints.
So here's the next one is relatedness.
Relatedness. I have good social contacts with the people in and around my work. I'm going to put that above power. That the personal relationships and team I'm on are what's most important to me.
Okay. And of course, as you're doing this, if you feel that any are about the same, you can put them side by side. Okay. So we got 3 more here. Let's play the deck out. So here's curiosity.
Curiosity. I have plenty of things to investigate and to think about. Wow, I like to stay busy by that kind of those kind of things. I would like to put that equal with power.
Okay, so power and curiosity. So again, at the top of you, most important, relatedness, then power and curiosity, then honor, and a few other things. So we got 2 more. Okay, freedom. We're all singing.
I am independent of others with my own work and responsibilities. Not important at all to me.
Really? Interesting. Okay.
I want to be part of something, not working off.
So you made those. Okay, so we got 2 more, then we'll run them down. So goal. What's goal?
Goal. My purpose in life is reflected in the work. In the work that I do. I am not. What I do is not who I am. I would put that on par with acceptance.
Okay. And last but not least, mastery.
Mastery. My work challenges my competences, but is still within my abilities. Yeah, I want to put that right at the top with relatedness because that's important.
Okay. And not just because you read Daniel Pink's book, right?
Don't even know who that is.
Oh, you don't know Daniel? Okay,
I know
he wrote the book. So here, I'll take a picture. So again, okay, well, we'll take a picture with something else because my phone just died. It's crap. Oh, no. I'm so glad someone gave me a battery charger down at the expo hall. But so what we just did is we did this neat activity again. It was called Moving Motivator it was in Doc List session. And so what Dan just did really quickly is he just took these dimensions and he kind of gave us a map of what his personality is like. For him, most important, things like relatedness, mastery, and then a little bit less important, power, curiosity, honor, status. And then again, less important, things like acceptance, having goals, having things in order, and then having things in freedom. That took us about 4 minutes. So what you can do is dock this great session where you can do this card game like we just did with your team. And so everyone can either play, they can pair kind of like you and I did, or we could actually do it as a whole team and then kind of show each other what we, how we map out.
How would that play out with the team? I definitely get the one-on-one, but how could we play that out as a team?
Well, so the whole idea of Doc's session was about doing things to promote trust. And so again, like I'll share it, and actually, my phone died where the picture was because my mapping, like I had mastery really high, but like I said before as we were going through this, like to me, order, like having a process, that's more important to me. You put it really low, and so what I appreciated about this game and what I appreciate about you is, again, you're different. Again, I want everything to be all structured and processy, but for you, that's not as important. What this game did is it made that transparent so we can work together better now. We can start to build trust.
It's hard to take you seriously when your hat is on sideways.
Really? We're doing this serious game, and you're complaining that my version 1 hat...
Well, you say that you like process, and I don't know, I'm seeing like the hat.
It's a trucker hat.
It's a version 1 hat. So, by the way, thank you, version 1. Great hat here. Thank you for the champagne, too. Although I have taken your champagne glass, and I'm now drinking water out of it. So, yeah, so anyway, so that was a game that Doc did. He did a few other games in the session, but... Again, Doc always does awesome things at these Agile conferences. So
how can we get this?
This actually, he said, it is available in his session materials that we will post as part of our show notes. And I believe he said, and don't quote, I might be misspoken here. I think this might be a Jurgen Apello thing. I think this is part of his workout.
This is in workouts.
Yeah, so this is part of his management workout. But it's a great idea. Again, you guys heard it right here live, or well, we're really not live, but Dan and I went through this in about 4 minutes as a team. If you take the time to print these cards out, do this with your team, it will help you have a better team.
Would you keep this information up in a team area, like a strength finders or something like that, so people are reminded of what others are about and how their personalities are?
Personal statement is I would do that based upon the safety of your environment.
Sure.
So if you're in a safe environment where the team is comfortable putting this up for everyone else in the organization to see, I would say fine. But guess what? What's most important is the conversation and what these cards reveal. And again, Dan will take a picture because my phone has died. And so we will put that out on our show notes. Because guess what? We now, imagine we had done this for everyone here on the podcast tonight. We'd all have a kind of a picture of how we think. And if we're members of a team, that is what is most important, right? So at that point, if we've used the cards here to expose that and everyone understands it, guess what? I don't think we need to put them up on the wall. But if you're comfortable putting them on the wall, it could reinforce it. So, but the key thing there is safety. So I enjoyed that. The other thing I'm just going to plug in, I'm going to say thank you, is myself and a few other colleagues. We basically sat down in a very small session with Troy McGinnis today and in the afternoon in the Open Jam. So again, for those listening, if you've never been to Open Jam, which is like open space where people just show up and talk about stuff, we had this awesome conversation and Troy showed us some very simple ways using dice to teach the mathematical models that support Monte Carlo forecasting, and really how this whole idea of, if you're really interested in shifting away from doing estimates, how to do that. A colleague of ours he went to the session saying, I want to learn how to convince my boss that we don't need to do estimates anymore. And again, Troy talked about, and what's great, and we'll put this in the show notes, all of his materials are available for download free of charge from a website. So I've got the sheets here, but they basically explain how to do these dice exercise. You might need to go on Amazon and buy the special dice because he uses a 10-sided die, which is a special thing. But then literally you can see right here, check this out, Dan. Because people say, and one thing that Troy McGinnis talks...
I have plenty of 10-sided dice, by the way.
Well, oh, really? Okay. But one thing that Troy McGinnis talks about is that this whole idea that with stories, the cycle time of a story normalizes after about 12 data points. And so if you look at this chart here, what he has you do in this game is you start rolling a die at random, and you see that down here, by the time you get to like 12 to like 14 rolls, look at the probability here. It's like already up to 90%.
Wow.
So this is really demonstrating the mathematical theories that support Monte Carlo forecasting as a way to shift away from estimates. So, and then also this is different because this is intentionally designed to teach people that this is based upon really probability, and it's not based upon averages. And there's a big difference there.
That's interesting that you can get that data that fast. In descriptive statistics, we usually say, "Oh, anything less than 30, it's not even worth measuring." That's
yeah. So, more than expecting, amazing. We're talking. Today must have been an awesome day. Oh, look, Melanie wants to look at the clock on the recorder there. It's at 33 minutes. Let's see what time it is. So, anything else? I mean, what do you guys? Anything else? Plugs today? Anything? That's it?
No. That's it?
We blew it out.
I want a book by David Anderson.
You want a book by David Anderson?
That I didn't get.
You didn't get.
They did. I went to the booth to get it, and they said, you didn't have it.
And I won a TV that, again, I'm so happy to give that over to Melanie there. And
Melanie, what are you going to watch on that television?
Oh, boy. Maybe you're not going to like this answer.
How would I not?
Tell us.
It's your answer.
Well, so I messaged it out to my kids. Hey, I think that there's a guy who's going to give me his TV that he won. And
did you do that before I did that?
No, it was after I did that. I didn't know you were going to do that. And my 13-year-old son said, dibs.
Also, maybe some video games will get played on it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, listen, everyone, thank you for joining us. This was a crazy episode tonight. I think this might be the craziest episode of This Agile Life. The only thing that would have made it more crazy is what, Dan? Okay, you have a list.
More alcohol.
What would have made this more crazy, Charles?
I would say if John Sexter started walking down the hall, maybe.
That would have been funny. No, it would have been if Amos was here, because I'm sure Amos would have been on fire. Hey, I got one last thing I want to plug just because it's so funny. And I don't know the name of the vendor, but I'll put it in the show notes. So the best thing I saw in the exhibit hall this year, and this is a real life problem for a lot of people, and I just want to give some appreciation because this is true innovation in place. So there's a little company that was selling a Jira plugin in the expo hall here, and it lets you use Jira to do planning. Then you can print out cards from Jira that have a QR code on them. Do you have it? What is it called?
This is it.
No, it's not them. It's not them. It's like it's a startup. No, it's not them either. So, and they didn't have, again, proof they're a startup, they didn't have any materials. So I took a picture and my phone battery died. So we'll put this in the show notes when I plug my phone in. But here's what this does. This is awesome, guys. This is innovation real life. You use Jira, you put your stories in, you print out your cards, you can put them on a physical wall and they have QR codes. And they are, I think to my knowledge, the first people that have solved the problem that from a distance, you take one picture with your phone of that card wall and it can see all the different QR codes like from a distance and it will automatically update Jira.
Wow.
Oh.
So if you want to, something I recommend is that teams use a physical Kanban board, but then of course we all want metrics out of Jira or whatever tool.
Right.
These guys solve that problem. It is a Jira plugin that you can buy, and it's freaking awesome.
I think that's really cool. But one thing that's kind of built into Jira, and if you're depending on your what you're using as your repository, is you can do that in commits. In your commit messages, you can change the status of the story through a commit.
You can do that. I agree. But to me, I like this idea. And so Dan is a new member of our family, the company that Melanie and I work for. So you're now a new member of that. Mm-hmm. You will learn in your Agile training that you will receive in a few weeks the psychological difference of pulling cards. There's something about physically pulling a card on the wall. It's like taking ownership of it. So I just think it's awesome that someone finally sat down and solved this problem because like all of us coaches that will say, I want you to use a physical card wall to learn how to do Kanban, but then you want the data. Yeah. These guys solved the problem. And it was an awesome product. So we'll put that in the show notes. Check that out. It was my favorite thing I saw in the whole expo hall. It was the best thing in the entire expo hall. So anyways, so thank you for listening. If you guys got feedback for us, tell us we were crazy tonight. We'd love to know that because I think we were, right? Thumbs up on the craziness?
I have my thumb up.
Thumb up. Okay, all the thumbs are up on the craziness. So check out the show notes for all the links to all these talks, including the cards that Dan and I went through. And of course, we appreciate your feedback. So send us a note or a tweet if you've got anything. But guess what? Keep living this Agile life.
This Agile Life is brought to you by a community of Agile developers and coaches aspiring to spread the word about this groundbreaking approach to software development. Join us at ThisAgileLife.com/community.